I've been playing Eve for quite some time. At some point in the past decade and change, I've been a lineman in null blocks, a low-sec pirate, a mission runner, a solo artist, and honestly just about everything in between. Because I benefit from the context of having both killed and lost a lot of ships in my time, having experienced various playstyles, and having met a lot of people, I can confidently say that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. After a 3-year hiatus, I have returned to the game and became immediately fixated on a concept known as nomading. In a nutshell, this involves using an orca to live in Anoikis, also known as J-space or wormhole space, without needing to commit to anchoring a citadel. Despite having a bit of experience with wormholes, I'm largely going into this with limited knowledge on top of having no funding whatsoever. To obtain the starting funds for this adventure, I ran relic sites for a week or so and collected several billion to get going. I want to try the Nomad playstyle for a few reasons. The first and arguably most important is that it looks fun. I love playing Eve solo. I think that having a personal base of operations in one of the spookiest sectors of the game just sounds like it would be a good time. The second reason I want to try being a nomad is that I admire the culture of the PvP groups found within J-Space. Yeah, sure, evictions are a thing and they're kind of scummy. You could argue knocking down castles is mean, but in my experience, the vast majority of players deep in Anoikis just want to shoot at each other and have a good time and not have to chase crabs around forever, right? The third reason is that I want to try documenting one of my Eve adventures for the first time ever. I've never done that, so having the ability to do something as complex and all-encompassing as a nomad playstyle while remaining solo is very appealing and the foundation upon why I am recording this series. During the last few seconds of this intro, I want to briefly touch on what to expect from this video series. I plan to record interesting things that happen to me out in Anoikis. Some of these might be PvE, some of them might be hauling, some of it might be setting up bases, some of it might be PvP with other players, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be a pack of variety clips. Ultimately, even with lots of trimming, some of the clips might be a bit long-winded. To combat this, I'm going to thoroughly chapterize the contents of all of these videos so you can skip around if something is too boring. One last quick note before it comes up. I am choosing not to censor my username or system or activities or bookmarks or anything because quite frankly I don't think I'm particularly valuable to kill, and even if you do use these videos to find a way to kill me, I say fair play to you, and one day I hope to be as good as you. With that said, let's move to Chapter 2, the Tools of the Trade, a chapter that will help you understand what ships and items are required for this playstyle. So to give you an idea of how we're going to tackle this nomad playstyle as a single person with 3 accounts, I've compiled a list here of the various tools we're going to use, and we're going to go through them real quick before we start showing any footage from the wormhole. So the first and most important thing is the orca, obviously. Couple notes about this real quick. These die in high sec all the time. You are not safe in high sec. You need to scout yourself the entire way and be on top of things if you're moving an orca around. They are worth a lot of money and they do go down quick. They're often full of really valuable stuff too. So that's a quick note. So the orca sits in our home system and that acts as our main storage. And it kind of acts as like a little citadel. You can refit on it, you can store stuff, store ships. This is actually what lets us get away with the nomad playstyle, and it allows us to become what I consider unevictable. So the second thing you need is a blockade runner. I use a crane. This is how you get stuff from the orca to K-space. So when you kill people, pick up their stuff, get gas, resources, you need to get it to K-space to sell it. This is how you do it. Generally speaking, you're going to want to use your blockade runner to pull resources from your orca and put it in a station right outside of your wormhole exit. And then you're going to want to use a deep space transport, which is stationed in Jeddah, to run to that location that you stored everything with the crane and bring it all to Jeddah in one fell swoop. That way you can do about 3 or 4 trips with a crane and get it all weather busted. The next ship we're looking at is Ventures, and I know these are dirt cheap and a noob ship, but they actually are just as good as Prospects when it comes to gas intake. They just have a smaller fuel bay, or mining hold, rather. So you're going to need at least 3 of these. I suggest 6 because you're probably going to lose them because sometimes people kill these. Even though it's not very juicy, they do need to die. They're little gnats. So you're going to store these inside of the Orca's ship maintenance bay, and this is how you get gas, okay? You're also going to want to prospect at some point because you're going to want to Jedi Mind Trick a particular gas site, which basically involves kiting a rat in an orbit, and the rat never hits you, and you can fill up the entire prospect bay, which is 12,500 meters cubed. So you can get some good money completely AFK, and people can hardly even gank you because the rats will kill them with a prospect. So very important ship to get a little income for free. You're also going to need scanning ships, hacking ships. I actually map with these. You can also map with tier 3 cruisers, which we are also going to need. These are generally sat in by characters designed to run them. I have 3. We have Loki and 2 Proteuses. So this is how you engage and interact with other people with these ships. So don't be afraid to lose them. They're dirt cheap these days. I mean, you don't lose skills anymore, I don't think, so let's go nuts. The next thing we're going to need, 2 small towers. Small tower plus Orca is how you're unevictable, right? So if you can erect a small tower, online it, and get the shield online, your Orcas can log in that POS and be completely invulnerable. And if somebody wants to come and attack you, you can just log out, right? So the log out plus the Orca plus the tower is what makes it safe. You don't really need a tower. You can also stealth the Orca and just use it and re-stealth it with a cloaking module. But the tower allows you to kind of just have the luxury of just going AFK in the POS and etc. We bring 2 because you're going to want to move. So you have 1 POS with your Orca in it. Set up another one. Move the Orca to the other one. Get rid of the first POS, right? Super easy. We don't want Straunt. This prevents somebody from one-shotting your tower since we don't put any modules on it. It does die incredibly fast, so you need Straunt. You're going to want a bunch of POS fuel, as much as you can really carry, assuming you're going to stay committed to this. You need a ship maintenance array. This allows you to refit the Orca within the force field of the POS. Otherwise, you'd have to get a mobile depot or have, I think, a second Orca nearby, something like that. We just bring an SMA. Yeah, I guess it's kind of expensive for this one use, but it's really handy. You're going to want to refit the Orca when you move it, you know, etc. So bring a ship maintenance array. It's really nice. Just anchor it and then use it and then unanchor it and put it back in your bay. We don't want any buildings actually anchored besides the small tower. And then lastly, some mobile depots, okay? Real quick, there's a lot that goes into this, right? We could talk all day about this, but I'm just going to touch on one thing. For the Orca, moving it is the most vulnerable spot of the whole setup. When you're moving, you can lose it. It's that simple. So you're going to want basic shit. You're going to want a cloak, micro warp drive. You're probably going to want EC drones, ECM bursts, and the mediums. However many things you can stick on your ship to keep it alive. I even use a warp core stab sometimes because if a lone tier 3 cruiser walks up, it actually can't nab it, right? For utility, you're going to want remote armor reps. You know, hull reps, so you can repair your tier 3s if they get low. You don't have a citadel to tether on, you can't repair. And lastly, you're going to need industrial core and gas compressor. This allows you to take the money earned from your ventures and prospects and actually bring it via the crane and buster to Jeddah. Okay? It's a lot to take in. If it's too much, pause it right here, screenshot it, do what you have to do. Your setup could look quite a bit different than mine. Maybe you only want 1 tower. Maybe you don't want a PvP at all. Maybe you don't want to do gas at all. You know, either way, you're going to have an Orca. You're going to have a blockade runner. You're going to have at least 1 tower, usually. It really doesn't make sense to not bring one. You're going to need a scanner, so I would start there. So the first 4 days were fairly uneventful. I anchored a small tower inside of a C4 with a C3 and a C2 static. I then moved my Orca in about 3 minutes before downtime and successfully set up. Not much went on. However, I ultimately chose this hole because I noticed an Astra house was there and it was low power and the corporation was seemingly inactive. So my plan was to set up, get my bearings, get all my stuff ready, and take out this Astra house with a bunch of Vexers or some throwaway ship. So to that end, I did pop the shield. And we waited on a timer, so the next time we check in, we'll be trying to take out this Astra house and scoop up some of that juicy loot if we can. And once we scoop up some loot and clear this hole out, we're going to try to move to the C5 highway. I'm not sure if that entails setting up in a C4 or a C5 yet, but we'll make that decision after we knock the Astra house down. So here we're trying to bash an Astra house with a bunch of shit-fit Vexers because the Astra, you know, drops the core, could have shit inside of it. So we've killed this shield and waited, and now we're going to take the armor and hull. But, as is traditional in wormhole space, towers are juicy, and people have friends. So what happens next is fairly obvious in that this gang absolutely whips the ever-living shit out of me. And they end up taking the Astra house. What is, I would call unfortunate about this is not that I died. Of course, these Vexers were dirt cheap and meant to die. The thing that's unfortunate is that I spent all that time killing the shield and whittling down a bit of the armor. And I didn't even get on the kill mail of the Astra house, which was a bit sad. Because, strangely enough, they killed it exactly 16 minutes after I died. And the way kill mails work is you have to be attacking it within 15 minutes of it dying, or you don't get on it. So that's a little bit of a bummer. So anyway, these guys whip my ass. The Astra house is dead, which is cool. So we can potentially leave this hole now. That was our goal, was to pop this Astra, since we saw it low power. So we'll see what happens next. We'll see what hole I choose to move into and what direction I plan on moving. And yeah, don't forget, wormhole space, you're never alone. These goofy German guys will get you. The cool part is that I went back and saw the loot that dropped from the Astra house, and it was fucking insane. I mean, not good, but just rookie ships everywhere. Cargo containers everywhere. It looked like a disco ball full of cans and little ships and ventures and shit. And it was fun watching those guys shoot those ships and just get like 100 kill mills. But you know, next time that'll be me. It'll be fun. Alright, so it is day 6 or so of the Nomad life. And our current home, which is in a C4 with a C2 and a C3 static, is no longer cutting it. We would like to be able to mine more gas, have access to the C5 highway, and generally just be further away from K-space. So what we're going to do is move to a C4 with a C5 and another C4 static. To do that, we have to make ourselves vulnerable. We have to actually go out and move our Orca, which is the only time this setup risks anything. To make it easier, we have monitored the holes for the past couple hours, and we have scouts on either side of the target wormhole. But ultimately, if somebody was to be watching the POS, and you don't do this at downtime, you could easily lose your Orca with everything inside of it. Now, for this to work, there's basically 2 ways to do it. The first way is the way I'm doing it, where you place a second control tower in the destination system, and then you online them both, and then you leapfrog from one to the next. The second way to do it is to have your hauler not be your Orca pilot as well, like I have it. In that case, you could actually take the Orca, leave the POS and cloak up, and then you could unanchor the POS and then put it in the new system. So you only need one stick that way. However, I like leapfrogging. It's just significantly easier. So I think it's a little safer, but so basically right now is the most vulnerable time of the entire setup. This exact moment, right before we took off here, was because, I mean, anything kills us here. We can't get away from it. A single tier 3 cruiser would destroy us since we're not set up for combat yet. But luckily we made it with the micro cloak trick. It takes me 2 cycles because my skills are bad. So we have to micro 1 cycle and then we cloak micro the next and then we warp off. And since we have a pos already set up, we slide right in. But for those 10 or so seconds where you're decloaked, I mean, you know, you gotta risk it for the biscuit, you know what I'm saying? You gotta risk it. You could also do this during downtime. Like 5 minutes before downtime. That's the safest possible way to move the Orca. And I think if it's full of really valuable shit, that's the no-brain way to do it. But, no-brainer, the way to do it. But we decided to risk it because we had a pretty good idea of what was going on with the holes, and this system we're in now is huge, and there's jack shit near this celestial, so felt pretty safe. So after I got settled in to this wormhole, I noticed a group of people come in and start shooting rats at some of the gas sites. So I'm like, okay, interesting. Wormhole's already hot, that's fun, right? But what I quickly realized is that they're killing the rats to leave and then come back to scoop the gas, right? With whatever ships they choose to bring. So I'm like, okay, can't stand this. No way, not a chance. So I hop in the cheetah and I watch their hole, and they go back in their ships, and they come back in a huge group of prospects. So I wait for them to get on grid to this site I'm at right now, and as soon as they're on grid, they start shooting their little lasers. I decloak, and I turn my micro on, and I just fucking absolutely nail one of these prospects and just send it flying and start locking them all. And I guess he sees that and panics, and he warps off back to the hole, and he went back in the hole and never saw him again. So what that means is that all of these gas sites that he cleared the rats out of, I can completely clear with my ventures, even though I don't have any combat ships out here yet. So doing the math on that, I mean, we're talking about probably somewhere in the range of 1.3 billion ISK. And it's only going to take me, I don't know, 6 hours or so of mostly AFK, so all I can say to that guy is thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, we went to Jeddah, and we managed to get ourselves a skill extractor, which in turn allows us to train these skills here. And what these will allow us to do is compress our gas, because now we can use an industrial core and a gas compressor on our Orca. So admittedly, I have no clue how this works. I have never done this, never been huge on industry, but I believe we just turn the modules on and then we can just somehow use the modules to compress the gas. I'm actually not sure. We're going to find out. So let's just turn on this SMA. Get these modules online without nuking our power. And then we'll figure out on the fly how to actually compress gas. Let's tick these on. I still have my fit from moving it. Okay, well, yeah, we're gonna have to turn off the micro, right. Okay, just turn these on. Seems good. Now, how the hell does this work? I can use this in a POS, right? I hope to God I can use this in a POS. Okay. So I just have to use the industrial core and then use the compressor, and then does it just compress everything in the mining hold? Not sure how this works. I have to like, oh, okay, look at that. Holy sh... Well, that's easy. Very cool. Look how easy that is. And now I can carry 10 times as much gas back to high sec per trip, which obviously dramatically affects what I'm able to do out here in terms of funding. So that's pretty cool. So I stumbled upon a very quick connection to Jitta earlier, and I want to show you what that looks like. We're going to speed it up 5 times just to make it a little bit more tolerable to watch. But this is how fast you could technically get to Jitta from a C4, which has no direct connection to high sec, static-wise. So we're pulling up the map here a little bit, and you can actually see how this works. We're the blue square. We're traveling through the green squares to get to the high sec square in the top left. And you'll notice that to get through the last C2, it's red, which means I've seen enemies there in space. So you'll notice we're already in Jitta. So that means one thing. It means our exit wormhole was right next to Jitta, which it was. It was 1 jump from Jitta. Now, because that was so fast, we're actually going to show you the reverse trip as well. Same speed up 5 times. And I want you to see if you can keep track of what we're doing, right? So we go to an undock bookmark so we don't get one shot. Use cloak the rest of the way. So we jump from Jitta 4-4 to a Stargate. We jump from that Stargate to a wormhole. We go into the wormhole. Now we're going to rely on our bookmark scheme. We're going to go from the first wormhole to a second wormhole. We're going to go from the second wormhole to a third wormhole. And third wormhole to a fourth wormhole, which leads to our home system. And now we can put stuff back in the Orca. Just like that, I came across this system that, I mean, just look at it. What the hell is that? It's got a normal, what do you call it, accretion disk, and then it's got this perpendicular, I don't think this could happen in real life, but I have no idea how astronomy actually works. So if somebody knows if that can happen in real life, let me know. I'm curious. Alright, today is day 9, and we have stumbled upon a class 4 shattered wormhole with a nullsec 4 and 5 static. The cool thing is, these deep shattereds, some people use the Nomad setup and post up in these systems because the spawn rate is high, and you can get pirate relic sites in the higher class wormhole space, which is exclusive to these shatters. And to that note, we are going to take a look at some of the booty in this system before we get into it. So, you'll notice right off the bat, there's a lot of relic sites in here. There's 6 on screen right now, and if we look at them... Sorry, 5 on screen? Yeah, 5 on screen. If we look at them, it's triple Sancha, double Garista. And obviously we know Sancha is the most expensive relic site, and Garista is the second most. So that pretty much is like an explorer's dream right there, to have 5 juicy sites right next to each other all scanned out. So we're going to bang those out. And the other thing we saw that we want to do is this Vital Core. We're going to ninja that and get some good money off of that as well. And the last thing I want from this system is one of these wormholes to lead to a low-class J-space system. Now we know that 3 of them do not, because one of these is null, one of them's 4, one of them's 5, right? But hopefully one of these leads to maybe a C2 or a C3, so we can get to K-space again. And then we'll run all of our booty to Jitta and pick up some tier 3 cruisers. Next we're going to check in with all of this loot, and we're going to add it all up and see what we got. See you then. So we have cleared out all but one Sancha relic site, and we're gonna show you what that looks like at 5 times speed to cherry pick one of these, and hopefully get some good loot. So let's see what happens here. Saw an 8 mil can there, that was nice. 1 mil, 2 mil, pretty small fry stuff. Nothing good from this one, huh? Okay. Well, that is all the relic sites, so let's take a look at what we got. Put it all together. Okay, so we finished ninjaing the VCR. We took those 5 relic sites, and all we got out of it, about 160 mil. That was a bummer. That was a bit on the low side. What happened was the VCR rats came at 15 minutes, kicked us out a bit early, and all but one of the relic sites was a dud. The one that had, I think, 10 of these. So a bit of a bummer. However, there's a bit of a silver lining. In that shattered wormhole that we just came out of back to our base, there is a connection to another shattered, a C-13, a Wolf Riot small shattered. So we're gonna go into there next. We're gonna do relic sites and ninja gas. If there's anything worth ninjaing, there's a bunch of bad sites in there too, so let's see how that goes. So in the spirit of showing things that take a while, sped up, we're gonna look at what it takes to scan down an entire system quickly. Because although most EVE players have scanned down entire systems with a lot of signatures, when you live out in deep Anoikis, you kind of have to do this all the time. You have to scan down huge swaths of signatures. So we're gonna do a 5 times sped up montage of scanning down this C-13 Wolf Riot, and then we'll talk about what we found. But you'll notice right off the bat, I go from celestial to celestial, scanning at either 8 or 4, depending on my mood, and we tend to systematically shrink the signature ranges down from celestial to celestial. However, in this one there's so many celestials and they're all kind of congealed in there, we kind of just gave up and started 8 to 4ing it down. But at this point we pretty much got them in a small area, and if you've scanned a lot of sigs like this, you'll know that those last bunch in that area take a while. Alright, now we have scanned this entire system. We know what's in here. And let's take a look. So we have a ton of gas. Absolute ton of gas. 4 bountifuls, 3 VFRs. So this is gonna pay a lot of money when I'm done ninjaing it. We have no pirate data sites. We have a shitload of wormholes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna spend some time and take all these gas sites, and then we are going to scan our way out of this hole, because I do believe it has a C3 exit. So one of these wormholes is a C3, which has a 20% chance of high sec, 60% chance of low sec, and 20% of null sec. So that'll get us to Jitta. So I'm going to spend a couple hours, grab this gas, and we'll check back in. So right now we're chasing a bunch of ventures around our system here. I think it went to the planet. So they came in, they were trying to clean up the clouds that I left that had shitty gas in them, but obviously can't do that. Let's see if we can spook him one more time. Let's see if he's still here, actually. No, he left. Oh no, he's still here. Which one of these are you at? Are you at a safe? Which one of these are you hiding at? There they are. We found you, you dirty dog. Let's go scare him one more time. He's gonna warp off to... I guess this one? Forgot what sig that was, but let's just spook him one more time. Give him the old spooky. So we're actually gonna wind a hole. Just in case he's got some scrams on this thing. He hasn't reacted to this yet, he's just sitting there. Oh man. I wonder if he brought something to fuck with me. Like there's a tier 3 on grid or something like that. Obviously not gonna kill myself here. Oh, he brought another venture in. It's a whole venture squad. So many ventures. Does he notice I'm sitting here yet? I'm decloaked. I'm just sitting here. I think he's trying to land something on grid and bubble me, maybe. Circle back around here. Oh, he does have a saber. Look at that. Smart, dude.
Warp drive active.
Beautiful. That was pretty nice. Gotta admit. So we called that. He was trying to bubble me on grid. He got pretty close too. That was pretty funny. Okay, so we have finished the 7 gas sites in the C-13. And because it was a C-13, only small ships can get in. Of course, the rats were not cleared. So we could only ninja them. So we had 7 ninjas, which all 7 of which had C-28, so it's nice and easy to see how much we got. We copy paste this and throw it in Eve appraisal, and we are left with about 500 mil. And so it is about 15 to 20, we'll say 20 minutes per ninja, so that's 2 hours 20 minutes. Plus the relic sites, which was about 10 minutes. So 2.5 hours. About 500 mil, 200 mil an hour. That's pretty good, especially because most of that time is spent just with 3 ventures orbiting a cloud watching Netflix, so not bad. So we're gonna compress this. We also have some other gas here. I think we have to do this fucking thing, right? Compress. Then we're gonna compress. And now... Is that it all? Okay. That's all of it? Sweet. So let's just see real fast how much gas we have. We have... let's see here. What is it saying? 24k per... it might be a little less than that. Say about 500 mil worth of gas. Not bad. So that wraps up today's PvE. We do need to find a connection. Unfortunately, that C-13, although it does have a C-3 static inside, I totally forgot that I obviously cannot get the blockade runner through C-13 because it's just small hole. So we're gonna have to find another connection. Might leave it for tomorrow. We will see, and we'll get this stuff back and sell it and be happy. So it's finally happened. After much ado and setting up and getting ready, we are finally back on track to start fighting things. First tier 3 cruiser out here is the classic Loki. A ship I have been using since it was considered one of the worst. Now it is one of the best. Let's see how many kills we can get on this thing. Should be fun. So last thing I want to talk about today is the map that I set up. And we're going to drag it right on screen here. Okay. So this is the map I used today. And you remember at first we talked about a shattered system. That's this right here. Okay, so that's connected to our home. We also found that Wolf Riot, the C-13, that was connected to the Shattered. Okay. And then we wanted to get home after we mined all that gas, those relics, blah, 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 chase those ventures around. We wanted to get home. To get there today was a fair amount of steps. We did a lot of scanning to get out. So we ended up taking 3 Class 3s below sec. And then that brought us to Jeddah. Basically, I checked the first C3 out. The low sec is far from Jeddah. Checked the second one, it's even farther. Checked the third one, it's pretty close. So we went with that one instead of looking for a high sec connection. So that's basically where we're at today. So we have successfully sold everything. We had about 2 bill in the corp bank for the first time since coming back to the game. And now we have started to outfit ourselves for combat. So what I envision in the coming weeks and days is some kill mails. So that should be fun. So as I finish up my ninja of this vital core reservoir, I noticed something really cool. And this is probably common knowledge among wormholers, but I'm still learning a lot of things, so I thought this was neat. And if you don't know this, you're also going to think it's neat. So in wormhole space, they have system names, J, followed by 6 numbers, okay? You also have a constellation and a region, just like in K-space. The thing I didn't realize is that the region prefix begins with a letter. And which letter of the alphabet it is, that is the class of wormhole you're in, right? So A, B, C, D, E, F, that's class 6, right? Pretty fucking cool. We can test that by going here and looking at this system. We have a bookmark in. It's C. It means it's a class 3. Thought that was kind of cool. So you don't even need outside websites to even instantly know what class wormhole you're in. Pretty cool. So while I'm in the learning mood, I went ahead and mapped out the connections between wormholes in a standard table form. Basically what we're looking at is this is the system you are currently in, right? So this is just a probability table. So basically what this means is if you're in a class 1 wormhole, you have a 57% chance to have a high sec static. You have a 29% chance for a low, and a 15 for no, okay? So now you understand what this means. Let's look at a couple things that stand out immediately. The first is the K-space box, I want to call it. This is class 1, class 2, and class 3. These wormholes always have a connection to K-space. To get in here, it's not guaranteed. All of the statics only lead to other wormhole space, right? You can actually look at the data and notice trends. The most obvious one that stands out to me is something that players refer to as, and you've heard me mention earlier in this very video, a C5 highway. And I want you to look at this chart here and see if you can find the C5 highway. You guessed here, you are absolutely right. This is the C5 highway. And what this means is that all of high class wormhole space has a huge chance to redirect to class 5s. Which basically means you're pretty much going to end up in a class 5 if you wander around long enough up here. And that's very good because class 5 and class 6 have the best PvE, and you can do stuff with capitals and so on and so forth, right? So you want to end up in class 5s. The other thing to note is that out of all the wormholes here, there's only 2 that are reciprocal. And the first one should be obvious based on what we just talked about. The class 5 wormhole. This is reciprocal with itself, meaning it's most likely to link to another class 5. That's where we get the term highway from. It just so happens that 4 and 6 also highly link to it. Class 4s also have a high chance a majority chance to link to another C4. So in a way, there is almost a little mini C4 highway. The only problem is that if you look at the other connections, it's very unlikely that other wormholes will link to a C4. So once you're in the C4, it's not so much a highway, it's more like a service road, if you will. You can stay in that little pocket, but you do have to, actually stay in it. You can't just, like the C5 highway, go out to a C6 and then almost be guaranteed to come right back in, I thought that was interesting. This chart really illuminates how the class interconnectivity works, and it's definitely worth looking at and understanding. So I think it's possible that this vital code reservoir was cleared of rats, because we're now 22 minutes into this ninja, and that's a bit long. So what it makes me think is that the guys that live in this hole got a Fortizar. This is a class 6 system. They probably know I'm doing this if they're on right now, and they're probably gonna have a bubble at the connection. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna send one of our guys back right now and see what happens real quick.
Warp drive active.
Because I have the strangest feeling that if these guys are active now, they are going to stop me here at this gate. So they're not here. Oh shit. Look at that.
Warp drive active.
So basically the rats spawned really late. That was almost 24 minutes, right? So indeed, they did not clear it, so that means they're probably not watching me, but I still probably made the right choice there by respecting their ability to control this hole. Spooky stuff. So today is day 11, and I have logged on to my kingdom, or maybe park bench, I don't know what you want to classify it as, and it does appear as though all the signatures are gone in my system. So while I slept, a rather large group of people, or somebody with many accounts, came in here and cleared a lot of rats. Well, 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 if it's not another shattered system with, I mean, that's a fair amount of signatures, right? Let's do this again. Let's scan these fuckers down, get that money, and live our best life. We'll check back in and tell you how much we got when we find a high-sat connection and sell it all. I just gotta take a second here and just really appreciate how that pulsar interacts with, I guess, whatever the fuck a wormhole is made out of. Look at that, it's beautiful. It's so cool looking. See if I can get it all the way around without fucking it up. There you go. Nice and easy. Very cool. So, in an attempt to knock some of the rust off of my hunting skills, we're gonna try to catch this little hare in here. Buddy, what's up? Pretty fucking far away. Gonna go to the last one now. But I made a ping. I don't think we can warp off and work back. It's really far away. Anything I can warp to? No. Absolutely nothing. So I think our little buddy's gonna get away. We'll make a play for him though, see if he notices. We're coming in hot on him. Oh, he's warping off now. Where'd he go? But safe? Interesting. At a micro would have been cool. I think he's gone. He is gone. Sad times. As a quick note here, we have trained all of our characters into the Tech 2 gas scoops. So that should be very noticeable when we're clearing out the entire sites. And we should hopefully make a lot more money off it. Cool. So I just watched this guy warp to the moon at 0. Which is like right here or so. And in an Astero and decloak and poop out his probes. And recloak. And I'm sitting here going like, oh my god. I just need to put some mods on this thing, like a scram or a disruptor and a couple artillery pieces, and then put a decloak can there. And I could conceivably just pick up explorers and people mapping holes, but at the same time, like, do I really want to like piss people off to that extent? Like, what if some major, you know, group out here just warps here and gets decloaked and died because they're having an off day, and then they're like, all right, fuck this kid, and then they camp my hole for a week just for fun. You know, do I really want to do that? I don't think I do. I don't think that's worth it. I think you got to be a bit more honorable than that if you want to pull off this playstyle. And that's not even considering the fact that the way our setup works is that we kind of dissuade people from wanting to attack the tower because there's absolutely nothing inside of it of value, right? So by putting more modules on it, it gets a little juicier. So one thing that was kind of irritating, or I found frustrating, was when I wanted to pop into another system and come right back out. I wanted to get the signature of the other side of the wormhole. And I didn't like having to scan down the whole system to do that. So I'm going to show you a real quick way to get the other side of the wormhole, the signature of it. Even if there's a lot that are clustered together and it's hard to see which one, there is a foolproof way to do it. So let's show you how quick this is. All right, first thing, you go through it. Next, we're gonna wait for it to appear. We're gonna right click, save location. Then you're gonna right click, orbit, 2500, activate all 3 of your first modules, open your map, click this button, make the thing as small as possible, click analyze, close the map, approach the wormhole. Okay? We're gonna wait for the scan. And we have the signature, and we're back through. So we now know that this is TWL, or TLW. We're gonna copy this into Pathfinder, and we have the return sig. Okay, now that's just weird. My C5 static, I go into it, and it's the same static I had yesterday. Same one. I even had my bookmark left over from when I checked it yesterday. But this is a different entrance to the same hole. So this bookmark I just removed is not how I came in here today. I came in here yesterday, so probably really low odds of that. So if you're not aware of what different wormholes look like when they're in different states and different types, you are not alone. I also did not know a lot of that before I came out here, and now I'm starting to learn it. So if we look at this hole real quick, I want you to notice two things. Number one, the wispy little lines around it, these things, where the mouse is right now, those are really faint. You can hardly see them right now, even though the graphics are turned all the way up. The other thing I want you to notice is the center here. It kind of looks like it's bouncing, right? Little bouncing center and faint wisps. What does that tell us? That tells us that this is at the end of its natural lifetime. So we don't even have to necessarily show info on wormholes. We can actually look at the graphics and analyze what's going on just by looking at it. Other tells are the wormhole actually physically shrinks when its mass quota is reached. The outside wispy things are color-coded based on the size of the wormhole. The inside is actually kind of color-coded, I guess you'd maybe call it, dependent on where it's going, right? So again, for anybody watching this that knows how wormholes work, this is probably painful, but for those of us that are still learning, it's really kind of cool that you can analyze the graphics themselves and know everything about it without even having to show info. Okay, now this is cool. We've actually run across a couple of guys rolling a wormhole. So what we're gonna do is just watch it. We'll see what kind of combat ships they bring through here, and if it's, you know, if just one guy shows up, we'll probably try to fight him with the Loki. But I did see 2 battleships, so whether or not that's one guy or not, we don't know. But we might be taking a losing battle here. Okay, so they haven't come back through.
Warp drive active.
We're gonna go ahead and poke our heads in there and see if they chickened out, or if they're sitting there with a bunch of bubbles, or who the hell knows what they're doing. Let's find out. Where's their citadels at? They don't have any? Ah, there it is. Where are you guys? Four people? Is that why they ran from me? Let's go say hi.
Warp drive active.
Like how I'm sitting there talking shit about 4 people when I'm just a solo guy, right? So hypocritical, it's amazing. Alright, so there's one guy in the station. They have a fucking moon mining operation, amazing. So I saw at least 2 guys in space. Which means that one of them's out there. And I'm just gonna take a goosey gander and just assume that he's watching that hole. That hole is within D-scan range. I should see it if they start to roll it and get back through. I should probably get combat probes out over here. Alright, we're gonna pull the probes out over here. Hide them. Hide them here. Recloak. We're back. I guess I'm just confused because... Oh, look at that. He came out. This is I have his Abaddon fit. This is the thing I thought I could maybe try to take, but he's warp core stabilized. So we're gonna try to tackle him anyway. And see if he warps off. What the fuck is that? Oh, that's another wormhole. Definitely blew that. Let's just warp there. See what happens. So he went through here? Interesting. Very interesting. Is this also EOL? Totally is. So we are pretty much in the position where if we see a splash, we're probably going to tackle the Abaddon. But we're going to pay attention to the splashes because if there's multiple of them, then we'll know right off the bat more people came through. Alright, I think I'm going to bail because it's not even like I have a good chance of stopping it if it's here. I don't know if I can kill it. I don't know if it has a warp core stabilizer. And I don't know what he's doing out there, so we're gonna bail. That's okay.
Warp drive active.
So I stumbled upon this system with 20 signatures. Did a little gas farming. And quite frankly, made a fair amount of cash off of it. The Eve appraisal. Pretty cool. If you look at what we did, pretty extensive. Look at all these ninja notes. We ninja'd 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sites. We also did like half of this. Probably less than half. Probably a quarter. Alright. Today is day 13. And I have found a ton of people inside of this class 3. So we're gonna go in there and see if we can say hi to these guys. Alright, let's get off this wormhole. Start trying to figure out where the hell these guys are. God, there's a lot of ships there somewhere. I want the porpoise, man, really badly. So I think they're in one of these SIGs here. Yeah, they're definitely around there. Right around that celestial. There's a good chance he's not going to let us do this. Item first.
Warp drive
We need to one-shot this scan if we want to have any chance at all. Okay. So. He's within 5. He's within 4. He's within 3. He's within 2. He's within 2. 3. Let's go 2.5. Okay, he's between 2.5 and 3. See if we can get this angle. Okay. Ah, I found him. Holy crap, look at that. And they're right at 3. They're right on the tip of that. Alright, let's try it. Let's see what happens, lads. I think I fucked up because you're not supposed to warp the gas sites at 0, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Maybe that porpoise will be close. I think I blew it though by warping to 0. Yeah, I totally blew it. Don't decloak me. Don't decloak me. Yes! Alright, so they are 50 at about a 45-degree angle. So if we go here,
warp drive active.
there's nothing to bookmark there, right? Oh yeah, there is. Oh my god, they're at 0 on it. They're literally at 0 on that thing, not moving. Holy crap. Let's go.
Warp drive active.
No way! No way did he warp off. No way! What are the odds of that? I think I'm gonna decloak on this guy. I warp to 0 again. Like an absolute animal. Oh shit, look at them. What are they doing? It's just got a bunch of hams on it. Pure buffer tank. Does have a disruptor on it though. That's spooky. And a micro, which means I wouldn't be able to get away, would I? I do have the web. Who came through here? I want the porpoise, man. Okay. So do we go in and risk showing the splash? Or do we wait? I think we wait a couple minutes. See if we can isolate those ships. Otherwise we go in and try to find the porpoise. Another praxis, look at that. Don't tell me that's near me, okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do here. However, I am gonna go in here. And if I can find Drake or a porpoise or a barge, pick it off, try to. Oh my god, turn around. Oh my god, turn around, stop moving. Oh my god, stop. They're rolling it. Holy f, they're literally rolling it. I think when he pops through again, I'm gonna just try to shoot him and see if he's tanked. It didn't pop it. Oh, I totally did. No. Okay. Well, we were a bit behind the ball in that one. I think they may have noticed me.
Warp drive active.
So I just learned the hard way that if you right-click a stack of containers and launch for self, it does indeed launch all of the containers, not just one of them. So we are now going to go repackage these containers in low sec so they don't take up a ton of tile slots. Jeez Louise. You might be asking yourself, why do you have a bunch of containers? The answer is organizing loot in a POS, much less an Orca, is quite a challenge because you can't just create containers and have your alts freely access them. So, what I have tried to do is get a bunch of regular containers and make them special purpose, like blockade runner or a loot selling box or something for the Loki. So what happens is if I go to the Loki and I look at this box, we can't access it. And so this is a major problem I'm dealing with. Now, my solution is to simply take this, bring it to my cargo hold, and launch it. Now, the Loki can access this, and you can refit on the Orca. And then when you're done, the Orca scoops it to the cargo hold, puts it back in the fleet hangar. I mean, the hauler, which is also the Orca, can access these containers, so I can actually go on my blockade runner and then access these containers and see what's inside of them and pull loot out. However, it's really not ideal, I'm not gonna lie. So, but I haven't found a better way, so hopefully I discover one at some point. But for now, we are jettisoning cans and keeping things organized that way because we simply cannot have everything in this container, the main container. It's just too hectic, so. So as we roll into perimeter here, I want to touch real quick on another part of gas we haven't shown anything about. So we know in Anoikis we harvest the gas, bring it to the Orca, and then compress it. What we haven't shown is what to do with this compressed gas, right? We haven't shown that. So let's show you how to work with that right now. So what you do with it is you bring it to perimeter or any system that you want that has a Tatara in it. I like perimeter. Tyranny Sagitta seems good, right? You bring the gas here. Then, because they have a certain module equipped, which I don't think we can view because we don't own the Citadel. I think it's just a refinery or something. We can actually decompress it, just like we compressed it. Same exact interface. So you'll notice, though, that we don't actually get back 100% of the gas. So that's what they refer to as lossy. So we're going to jump into Jeddah with our blockade runner, having left the vast majority of the gas inside of that Citadel. Pop through to Jeddah. Now, don't touch your mouse, don't touch your keyboard. We're gonna have a little chat. So this gate right now is empty. But usually this gate is not empty. Usually there is a tornado and a thrasher here. And other ships. Those ships are designed to kill you, specifically the tornadoes. So, when you're in high sec, always make sure you use your cloak on your blockade runner. Because even though we have 28,000 EHP with no mods active, our tornado can do, I think it's 12 to 14k at the very most. So we could conceivably get 3-shot by 3 tornadoes. So if we're not paying attention and we warp in and try to warp off without cloaking, we could die. Okay, so let's park the blockade runner. We're gonna switch ships to a bustard. Fit something like this with an LSA, large shield extender and a bunch of activatables, which puts us at about 123,000 health, which for high sec purposes is pretty good, but obviously not foolproof. You can get these up to like 1,000,000 HP, but we're not going to bling it out that much because we rely on other tricks to not make ourselves vulnerable for ganks. So, immediately warp to an undocked bookmark if you have them. or to one of these other celestials in line with your cursor. Okay, so we're undocked. Hop to perimeter. And then we're going to go back to that Tatara. Now, this is how I do it. I highly recommend you use the micro cloak trick whenever you jump off a Stargate with a DST, even in high sec, even in 1.0. The reason is it's free practice. So align, cloak micro. Make sure your target is selected. Now we're going to spam dock. Go ahead and turn the cloak off now. And we should be off to warp in about a second here. So our skills are bad. I think we can improve that with a couple more levels in spaceship command and all that shit. But always use your micro cloak trick in high sec with a bustard or DST. Because if a competent group scouts you and somehow knows you're doing this, they can kill you if they want to, anywhere in the game, and it's best you remember that. So let's fill up as much as we can. So if you can do it in 2 trips, right? You can do this in 2 trips. You want to bring half of the value per. Let's just do like this. And some might say I'm being overly cautious, some might not. Who knows? Oops. Can't type. We'll bring this. We'll come back and get the rest later. That way if we fuck one up, we're all good, man. Okay, line it up. Make sure we're at the right thing. Go through to Jitta.
Warp drive active.
And we're going to do the same micro cloak trick on the other side. Now, unless you're very new, you're going to know about this trick. This is how you move big ships around. We did it with the Orca earlier, but I cannot stress how important it is to do it. I mean, in low sec, it's a no-brainer, but even in high sec, you have to do this. With the Orca, you'd be doing this the entire way. No questions asked. So 99% of high sec ganks can be avoided if you do your due diligence and play by the normal set of rules when traveling safely. But it's better to be paranoid and overtank everything and practice micro cloaking even if there's nobody there, because eventually someone's going to be there. I have personally had my freighter bumped off of a gate and ransomed, and yeah, you play a little bit more paranoid then. So this is quite tragic, actually. I just tracked down and killed a mining barge in low sec and recorded it all, but I had somehow switched off the video recording, only the audio recording. So that's a bit sad that our first kill of the adventure we missed the footage of. However, it was just a barge, it was in low sec, barely counted. So we'll just show you the kill mail here. And learn from this mistake. Yeah, okay, wow, this is a great example, perhaps the best I have ever seen, of what exactly is going on when you scan shit. Okay? I want you to notice something. This is 32 AU size, 16, 18, and 4. So this is 4 AU size probes, right? Is Celestial out here? See how far away that is from anything else? That kind of goes against what you've been told, that they have to be near Celestials, right? We're going to do a little science experiment. If I keep this on 4, center it on there, and run this scan. You may notice that took a long time. It's because it's a 200 AU distance. Okay, you saw how that, over there, signature just moved all the way across to the other side of the Celestial? There's a reason for that. And there's a reason we knew it, too. What happens is, as you've been told, signatures generally only spawn, right, within 4 AU of a celestial. But these red bubbles on your solar system map are in part, I don't know the formula, but they are in part scaled size-wise by the size of the system, meaning how far away the celestials are. And in here, you'll notice that from where we are, to the left, to where that was, 200 AU. 200. So this is an absolutely incredibly huge system. And because it's so big, it shows off the fact that these red circles are inherently inaccurate. And you can confidently run a 4 AU scan on any celestial you want. And if there is a signature nearby, we will know. Let's try it again real quick. We might not get lucky with this one, but we're going to run a 4 AU scan in these huge red circles. And I have no idea where this stuff is. I have no bookmarks, no cheating. Let's run this scan. Now the probes have to move, so it's going to take a little time. Let's see if we got lucky. Just like that, we hit 2 signatures in that huge area. So for those of you who like to go celestial to celestial and go 4 to 1, rejoice. You can completely ignore these red circles the vast majority of the time. Oops, I went to 2 there, not 1. Go from 4 to 1. You also might sometimes hear me talking about going from 8 to 2, and I do that sometimes if there's a lot stacked on top of each other in a small system. And just as a quick example of when you might want to go 8 to 2, here we have 5 signatures. All of them fit within the 8. So we would start with an 8 like this. And then just like that, we have 3 wormholes and only 2 sigs to scan down. So that can also eliminate gas and data and relic and stuff, whatever you don't want, basically. I have just realized that, tragically, I have not shown off this incredible animation. Look at this. There you go. That was my cheetah. There's the Loki. So I went ahead and grabbed a 4th account. Now I know if you're not used to having multiple accounts, you're probably like, Jesus, dude, relax. How many accounts do you need? But going from 3 to 4 for what we're doing now is actually really quite nice, right? It allows us a lot more agency, a lot more gas income before the percentage of diminishing returns starts to get too low. We can still control 4 characters pretty easily. And just to show you what it looks like, we had 4 characters, all tier 2 scoops. We went out and did 3 mini ninjas and filled up our cargo bay. And we got, according to Eve Praisal, 150 mil. So 3 mini ninjas, it was about no more than 30-40 minutes total for all 3. And we got that. Pretty decent. So that extrapolates to probably 250 mil an hour. Pretty good for ventures. So apparently you can log a character out by quitting the program, log that account back in, log into another character on the same account, and you can have 2 characters on the same account in space at the same time, and neither one of these guys is logged in right now. They're just approaching this bookmark. So this whole time I've been waiting 30 seconds to log them out safely in the past, just because I thought it would be faster than having to wait for them to leave space in the past. But you can literally just quit the game and just leave them here. As long as they're approaching this bookmark, they'll never get bumped out. Man, that's busted. So he's not logging out because he has a combat timer right now. That's so cool. Man, that's like pretty useful for the Orca too. You could give him a combat timer and let him just sit here anchored and use another character on that account while the Orca sits there. Pretty nuts. They're a bit stronger than I expected. perhaps. There's a Praxis on grid. Look at that, guys. There's a freaking Praxis on grid. You know what that means? I'm going to go get another Proteus from Jeddah and start to try to kill these Praxi that I find. Who knows? Maybe they're in here farming the C2. They live in a C2, C5 static, right? Well, they're in a class. Oh my god, it's literally there, guys. Holy shit. Let's figure out where. Not f this up. He just landed. He just landed. He just landed. Oh my god, he just landed. I'm not gonna be able to get there. Holy fuck, I'm not gonna be able to get there. Holy shit. Why, God? Why? He actually saw me? Oh man, that was bad. Yo, I caught him. I'm gonna catch him.
Warp drive active.
Not the wormhole, asshole. Oh my god, did I really just do that? No way I just did that. Okay, so we caught a Praxis on a wormhole. Proteus and the Loki. So we get to check out me finishing him up. Because again, I am super duper mega bad at recording, but this guy should go down here. Cool. There's what we're gonna do. Bring all of our drones back. And him repping. Cloak up the Loki. We're gonna cloak up Proteus.
Cannot cloak your ship, as you will
Take
be
the Loki.
targeted by someone.
Grab the loot. Alright. So, where's that kill now? There it is. Cool. Look at that. We finally killed somebody. Oh, I got 5 wasps from it and a Wedu. Let's go. Made a little cash too. A little something something. Woo. Killing Praxi, baby. We're officially wormholers now. Let's go. Alright, guys. Those were the first 14 days of a Nomad Tale. During that time, we set up a base in Anoikis. We tried to bash an Astra house and got thwarted. We moved to a harder hole. We farmed a lot of resources efficiently. We improved our ability to bring those resources back to Jeddah to sell them. We adopted a 4th account. We brought out combat ships. We hunted a lot of potential victims and failed miserably at it. And crucially, we finally got one standard wormhole kill on a Praxis. So, overall, I'm very satisfied with this episode, and I've had a really fun time out here, and I hope that you continue to follow me on my journey in Anoikis. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.